For over 25 years, Bull has been one of the only companies dedicated to the manufacturing of everything from grills and components to outdoor kitchens and cabinets. In fact, we have the largest selection of outdoor kitchen components in the industry, which now includes pizza ovens and our new commercial-style griddle. Our prices easily compete with those of our competitors. Plus, Bull Outdoor Products offers lifetime warranties on our grill fireboxes, cooking grates, and premium cast stainless steel burners. Let us be your one-stop shop.
Why do we cook? We cook for food, for family, and for friends. We cook to bring people together.
Honey, that looks good. Pardon my fork.
Beau Smith on the phone. Thank you for calling in, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
So, 2018 World Seafood Champion. How does that feel hearing that title come out about you?
Yeah, it feels pretty good. Pretty astonishing, actually. Wasn't planning on winning it. Just want to go and do our best, so we'll take it.
How many times have you been to the World Food Championships?
This year was our first year.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm talking about. It's incredible to me that people can show up for their very first competition and just kill it. Just take the thing all the way to the top. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we've competed in, local cook-offs and what have you. So, I mean, we kind of got the feel for a bunch of teams and meeting the deadlines and turn-ins and all. This was totally different, of course, but it was pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's kind of when you get in that competition frame of mind or in that vein, there is a lot of crossover. And so cutting your teeth on some smaller local stuff really does help as you jump into that global stage. But I'll tell you what, buddy, you guys just, you laid it down, man. You laid it down. Before we start going into it too much, I wanted to ask you, do you remember what your recipes were that you cooked?
I know we did a mahi-mahi tacos. We did a black and redfish, and then we did basically like an Oscar sauce over redfish as well. Those are our three turn-ins. And
then that Oscar sauce over redfish, that was your final turn-in, right?
Yes, sir.
That was the $10,000 plate, man.
Right. Yeah, we were saving it for last, and I was worried after we made the first round we might not do that for the second one, but the black and redfish actually turned out just fine, so it all worked out how it was supposed to. That
is incredible. What did you go into the top 10 at place-wise? Do you remember?
I want to say maybe 6, I believe. I think we were at least 2 or 3 points back first, so we were kind of figuring hopefully we can get in the top 5. We're actually thinking we could pass everybody up like that.
You never really know, because when you go into it at a certain point, you kind of know what your place is as you're going into the top 10, but that never really shows what you're going to land at in the top 10. And boy, it didn't for you guys.
Yeah, obviously, right?
That's right. Now, you've got some experience working with seafood, do you not?
Yeah, the way I've grown up, I lived on the water all my life, and so we went hunting, fishing, everything we caught or shot. We cooked. My parents and grandparents, some of the best cooks I've ever eaten food from. So I was always kind of learning and watch what they did and do the best I could with it.
Now, would you guys cook what you were able to catch and hunt because it was fun or out of necessity here?
No, it was just because, if we're going to go out and catch redfish or trout or flounder, we're going to eat them. That's some of the best eating, that's the best eating you can get.
That is a fact. Hey, waste not, want not, too. If you catch it, why not?
Exactly.
Growing up, my grandparents were the same way. And it's such an interesting thing to look back on, because for some reason, because food is such a visceral experience, when you start talking about the food that your grandmother made or your mother made, you have those dishes where it's like, yeah, it was the best thing I'd ever eaten. They were the best cooks I'd ever seen. And do you ever stop and kind of go, could I, or am I competing at the level that my grandmother could have?
Yeah, it's hard. Like, it's still, even the biscuits and gravy my grandmother makes, it seems like nobody can replicate that recipe. And so if you want good biscuits and gravy, you're just going to have to go over a house and eat it. It's hard to to copy somebody else's recipe and how they make it just right. So just do your best you can and hope it turns out all right.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, that speaks to the competition itself. How much of yourself did you put into these dishes?
I mean, between me and my two buddies, Brian and Glenn, that's the flavor we like. That's how we like to cook. So, I mean, we just, how we like it to taste is how we made it. So, it's about, about how we did it.
More often than not, that's what I hear from the World Food Champions is that they were cooking what tasted good to them and what they wanted to cook. And that oftentimes is what takes them to the top. And you're no different, which is very impressive, by the way. So I do want to get into your background a little bit. I want people to know and understand how you became such a seafood culinary titan. You know what I mean?
Mighty boastful words there. Don't know how to really answer that one.
Well, what do you do for work these days?
We started our own food truck, emphasis on crawfish. So we boil crawfish, sell it to the public. And then we also do separate dishes on each day. So we do a seafood gumbo, a seafood pasta, etouffee, and just trying our hand at that.
So you're really surrounded by seafood all day, every day. It's just what you cook.
Yeah, pretty much. And you only get 6 months a year of crawfish season, so take advantage of it while you can.
Do you run your food truck seasonally then?
This is our first year doing it. We're contemplating if we're going to continue it on or look for a more permanent location where we can expand and run more of a full-service restaurant kitchen versus being limited on the amount of space and volume of product we can serve and do all that in.
Mm-hmm. You have a commercial kitchen that you prep in, though, don't you, for the food truck?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, but the kind of food you don't really want to make a bunch of it in advance like that, and it's just, it's a pain in the butt. I'd rather have my own place where I can have a full-size kitchen and all the amenities that go along with it go in hand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that makes total sense. Honestly, from a personal perspective, I would love to see you keep the truck as well as do a brick and mortar store.
Oh, we definitely are. We'll use that for catering events, for on location. I mean, we've gotten a lot of calls and offers to come out and cook at different locations for the weekend, and we've taken a few of them up on their offer, so we do that.
Man, I never would have even thought about having crawfish catered.
Yeah, oh man, it's a big deal down here.
Huh. Okay.
A lot of people do it.
I'm in Oregon. That's one of those things where, it doesn't really cross the state lines, even though I'm sitting here thinking about it and I'm like, oh man, that is a great idea. Like if my wife and I ever get to renew our vows, I need to find someone around here or just fly you out to cook me
right.
up.
Yeah, no kidding. We'd do it. I'd love to go to Oregon. Seen some pretty pictures, some nice golf courses up that way.
Boy, you know it. Yes, sir. And actually, I want to make my way over to where you're at in Galveston, Texas at some point. Where do you tend to get your seafood from? Do you try to stay local?
Yeah, there's a location, Boyd's One Stop over in Texas City that we buy all of our crawfish from. And then there's a Katie Seafood, which is over in Galveston, which we buy a lot of seafood from too. Everything's local, caught fresh and local. So a lot better that way when it's fresh and not frozen.
That is a fact. I really like that you guys do that. And actually, this is going to be a weird question, but it's a question that I've had for a while. And honestly, I'm glad you're here, and hopefully you can answer it for me. When it comes to cleaning crawfish, I've seen a bunch of different ways, people with a hose spraying them down in a cooler. I've seen people just take like the 40-pound bag and, dunk it in a trough. What is the proper way for someone to clean a batch of crawfish before they boil them?
Yeah, the best way, if you can get a tub and get some kind of aerator on them, so you can dump them down in that fresh water, make sure they got plenty of oxygen, and just get them basically back out of that, because what that'll do is basically all that's really on them is mud and dirt from the fields. So a lot of people use salt and do all this other stuff. It really don't do nothing. All you really want to do is get all the dirt and grime off of them from being packaged and through the delivery system and being squished down in them bags like that. So, like I said, all you really want to do is get your crawfish clean on the outside, because it'll keep dirtying up your boiling water. And then your water tastes funky, so you have to keep dumping that more often.
I gotcha.
Like I said, the main thing is make sure they got oxygen when you got them down in water, and you let them swim around there for a little while and get some of that dirt off of them.
So they'll kind of take care of themselves if you put them in water that's flowing or being aerated.
Yes, sir.
Interesting. Okay. Because, I mean, I have seen that before. I've watched people, fill the bucket, dump the bucket, fill the bucket, dump the bucket, and it's just dirty water after dirty water. Well, when you're cleaning crawfish to cook, I mean, you have to be doing way more than I ever have, just doing it for my family and friends. Is your method do you have like a horse trough or?
It's it's a big old bucket tub. It's got a drain on the bottom. We got an oxygen tank with a little aerator system we drop in there with the water. Fill them up, rinse them out, knit them out. That way you're not scooping all that dirty water back out with them, and put them in that pot and let them cook.
That is interesting. And you guys actually use an oxygen tank to aerate it?
Yeah, otherwise, like I said, they'll eat up all that oxygen in the water and then they'll drown themselves and die before you can cook them. So you got to keep that oxygen flowing through there. Oh,
I gotcha, because it's in a small, tight space.
Yes, sir.
That's interesting. Okay. Well, I'm going to be real honest with you, Beau. I am close friends with Suzanne Duplantis. She cooked in Burger last year. We were her sous chefs. She actually sent me some Louisiana-based seasonings, and we did a shrimp boil that was basically to her recommendations. I couldn't follow quite everything that she did because I'm not getting the kind of ingredients that she's getting up here, but I tried to hang real close. And she described to us using dry and then also using wet and then adding more wet at a certain point in the boil and, the times when everything goes in. And I'm sure you have your own process that you've worked on through the years, right?
Oh, yes, sir. Everybody does it different. There's a whole lot of steps to it to make it right, for sure.
Well, do you think you could do a little rundown with us just for the listeners' sake? I want people to know if they're going to do a crawfish boil at home, how to do it right.
Well, definitely get your water going, get your crawfish clean, and like I said, you add liquid bowl, add powder bowl, cut your lemons, cut your onions, add your garlic. The key is when you cook them, you got to bring them back to a boil for a couple minutes, and then you cut it off, put some ice on them, let them sit there for a while and soak. That's where all your flavor comes back in, is letting them sit in that pot so you soak up the flavor. And after about 20 minutes, start tasting them. You should taste just about right.
Yes, the soak. I remember hearing that's the important part because that's where all your flavor comes from. So what size is your batch typically? Are you doing 30 pounds of crawfish at a time?
I usually do about 30, 35 pound batches. That way I'm not overcooking the quantity I need. I've got several pots working, so it keeps it a little simple that way. Serve it fresh.
Mm-hmm. And then how long do you figure the crawfish take to cook about? Because I think shrimp is like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, shrimp's quick. Crawfish take about 3 to 5 minutes boiling. Then, like I said, you got to tack on another 20, 25 with the pot off soaking. So you're going about 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you icing? You said you ice that water down to slow or stop the cooking process?
Yeah, you don't want to completely stop the cooking process, but you do want to drop that water temperature about 15 or 20 degrees. So it's usually about a 10-pound bag of ice will keep that. Because, they'll still keep cooking, but you don't want the water cold.
Right.
So.
Interesting. Okay. And then as far as your accoutrements go, you talked about onions and lemons. Do you do potatoes, corn, celery, anything like that in your shrimp boils? Or, your crawfish boils?
Yeah, we do potatoes, corn, mushrooms, and sausage. So there's a lot of people want to talk about doing all the Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, asparagus, green beans, and all that. I just kind of stick to the basics with what I got going on. Well,
you're cooking crawfish. You're not making a Bloody Mary.
Exactly. Not even Bloody Marys look a little too high-tech for me these days.
I heard that, man. The last time I went to a friend's house and we were doing a Bloody Mary bar, I just sipped on the vodka.
You're right. I'm looking at some of these things, trying to figure out how do you even get your straw down in there, so much stuff poking out the top.
That's right. So I love what you're doing with the boil, honestly. But then if someone's just wanting to stop and grab lunch, you had talked about pasta. You had talked about, remind me again, what are kind of your staples in your food truck?
We got gumbo, etouffee, pasta, and sauce pecan. Those are the 4 dishes we run.
Am I wrong in feeling like there's a little Louisiana influence there?
Yeah, a little bit. I got a lot of family over there, so learned that stepmother's an excellent cook. She taught me a lot of her recipes. So, I mean, it's interchangeable over here in Texas, Louisiana. There's a lot of folks from Louisiana over here and a lot of folks from Texas over there.
So it crosses over quite a bit.
Well, definitely.
Is there not a quintessential Texas style seafood or crawfish?
Not so much in that. The big difference in Tex-Mex, but when it comes to Cajun food, I mean, it's pretty much done all the way the same.
I gotcha. That's fascinating, huh? I tell you what, man, I'm going to have to get some recipes from you. Do you have anything you'd be willing to share?
Oh, yeah, I can send you a recipe. Gumbo, that's the easiest one. That's the one people mess up the most. So,
my
I
man,
can send that over for you.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Hey, I'm doing this for you guys, the listeners. You better be happy with that.
All right.
I know I'm going to be happy with that when I get to make up some gumbo.
Yes, sir. And that you can make anywhere.
That's right. That's right. All right, man. Now that we know that you know what you're doing, what you're talking about, you know seafood. Let's roll this back a little bit. How did you first get introduced to your culinary exercises that you're doing? Let's put it that way.
Just growing up with my mom, working a couple of jobs, so usually I had to cook for my little sister, and she'd tell me what to cook and how to cook it. So I started enjoying it, and then with my dad, he was always cooking good food, so I called him and asked him how to make something.
So as a kid, you started cooking, and then you just kind of grew accustomed to it. Do you feel like you started to develop your own palate and flavors apart from your parents at some point?
Well, I don't know. My dad likes everything salty and spicy. That's pretty much how I am, so I think with the way he cooked it.
Okay, I gotcha. I have to wonder if the judges liked it salty and spicy.
I don't know. I hope so, because we were tasting it thinking it tasted just right.
It had to have tasted just right. You walked away with the $10,000 prize.
No, I was going to say, we need them judges everywhere. They can follow us around. Do all these little cook-offs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But it sounds to me like you didn't end up going into like the culinary arts. This sounds like something that started more as a hobby. Am I wrong there?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to be able to do something like that, go to school and pursue it that way. But, you know, family and kids and all, it just didn't work out that way. So we all like doing this hobby. And so now that we won that and we got this next opportunity, we'll just keep plugging away at it and see how it goes.
Double it every time. What were you doing before you started the food truck? Did you have a day job?
Salesman for a bread company down here named Beau Bakeries.
Yeah.
Well, with that, you get an early start at your day, so you get done early. It was you all the afternoon to do anything. So it kind of works out good with the cook-offs because we get off early and get to go do all that.
What was your first cook-off?
First cook-off? I guess Galveston County Fair and Rodeo some years back. It was a big barbecue cook-off.
Yeah, barbecue, man. You're landing right where I'm at.
You're out, huh?
I've done a few barbecue competitions myself. It's a lot of fun. We thought we might be able to do a little more this year, but it's been too busy. And yeah, gotta figure out how to get back out there because the competition is almost addictive, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's fun when you win, and it makes you mad a little bit when you don't win. So that makes you want to get back out there and try it again and prove what you got. So it's all in good competitive fun. So it's worth it.
Do you know about how many years you've been doing competition?
As a helper and just going out and having a good time, probably close to 20 years, maybe. 15, 20 years now.
Holy smokes. Well, how long did it take you before you started doing the competitions yourself?
This past year. Like I said, me and two buddies are on a cook-off team. One of our friends' dad had the barbecue cook-off team. We'd always go out there and help them. And so this past year, they had a crawfish cook-off we decided to get into, and we won that. That's what afforded us the golden ticket to the food championships. And then we won a couple more after that in between, and we went up there and weren't expecting much and won the seafood part.
And that's how you got your golden ticket?
Yeah. Went and cooking crawfish, of all things.
Did you even know that a golden ticket was on the table?
And I had no idea. And then when they talked about it, I didn't even know what it was. And then when they offered it up, it just so happened to be on open weekend of hunting season down here. So it was like, oh, man. So I skipped opening day and we went and did this. Turns out a good thing we did.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. What would you call that? Like serendipity or something?
Yeah, something like that.
That's crazy, man. So you just, man, you really fell into this, didn't you?
Yeah, something like that. It's kind of, everything seems to be breaking our way here lately. It just keeps on happening that way. That
is super interesting, man. I mean, honestly, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, if the other competitors are listening to this, what are they going to think about all this?
Here these little damn guys out here keep winning. Yeah, right. I try not to talk too many people.
Well, hey, dude, that's not only is that impressive, but I mean, it has to show you and your buddies that you cooked with that you guys are really on to something here. I mean, all these years of doing competition and then just cooking for yourselves and going, oh yeah, this tastes good. I didn't quite like this. Let's tweak this. Let's tweak that. As a matter of fact, that makes me wonder, are you typically working off of recipes? I mean, over the course of your life, have you had things that you have tried to like cook over and over and hone? Or do you roll off the cuff with this stuff?
Well, I mean, like when we cook, my friends have had a lot of influence on how I cook as well, just with different ways. So, say some years ago, I had a gumbo recipe, and my buddy's like, "Oh, add this or do a little of this or that," and then same thing back and forth, and we kind of just make it our own way. And as we're cooking it, we taste it, see something different, we give it something different. I mean, that's how we did with the food championships. I mean, we kept meeting up over at my buddy Brian's house, and we cooked something up, tasted, see what we thought about it, and do a little bit different the next time. So, no real true recipe, but we tried to turn in a recipe for the dishes we were making, and we were kind of trying to figure out what all we did and didn't add, and how many shakes of this, that, and the other. So, hopefully it's pretty close.
Are you, speaking of pinches and shakes, are you doing the whole spice, or do you use a lot of spice blends?
I mean, a lot of whole spice. We don't put too many different spices in there. I mean, there's only so many spices you can add to the dish before it's just overkill. But, I mean, you stick with your garlic and your onion and celery, bell pepper, and then, everything else after that, salt, pepper, cayenne, a little bit of Louisiana hot sauce. Pretty basic.
But in the right proportions. Do you ever tend to break out, or have you ever broken out into some of the, I don't know if you want to call them exotic spices, but I'm sitting here thinking about like sage and tarragon and stuff like that.
Well, a lot of that stuff can't even pronounce, so I don't really know what to use it in, but I mean, I'll use thyme, I'll use sage, I'll use parsley, bay leaves, but a lot of that other stuff is, I don't even really know what it's for, but I don't have a culinary background either, so that would probably help.
It would help. I guess what I'm kind of noticing about you is that you have a palate that is able to kind of understand and comprehend the spices as you are introduced to them. And I'll tell you, man, that's quite an asset. My wife has something very similar, and it is a huge asset to her whenever we do any kind of cooking competitions, to be able to stop and go, this needs a little bit more of this specific spice. That's not something that everyone has. And I'll tell you what, I think that has lended itself very well to you competing with the WFC.
Yeah, like I said, luckily for me, man, me, Brian, and Glenn, we're pretty much all the same way. We can all taste something different. Well, know what it does, it doesn't need, and it pretty much comes out right in the end. But we all rely on each other to make it work, so it works out pretty good that way.
That's pretty impressive, man. All right, well, hey, Beau, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to you about all things WFC and your experience there. All right, brother?
Yes, sir.
All right, and you guys at home, stay tuned. We'll be right back with the 2018 Seafood World Champion, Beau Smith. Red Gold Tomatoes are a proud sponsor of the World Food Championships. What we do isn't about canned tomatoes. It's about family. It's about putting a delicious, healthy meal in front of them every day and seeing the smiles on their faces. Our tomatoes are all about family too. Red Gold Tomatoes. The World Food Championships invite you to visit your local Walmart today. Check out their ever-expanding selection of the highest quality ingredients for your family and friends. Save money, live better with Walmart. And we are back with Beau. So I got to ask you, you mentioned earlier in the show that, the WFC was a completely different type of experience for you as far as food competition goes. Because now you've told us you've been doing this for 20 years and in some capacity or another. And now you've taken that to the main stage, like the big show. But I am wondering if it felt like the big show to you since you've been doing this for so long.
Yeah, it was definitely different. A lot more teams, a lot more going on, a tighter schedule, a tighter turn-in window, more intensive cook as far as what we're having to make. But as far as the competition itself, it's just another competition. But when you put it in perspective, and we're sent back to being home cooks, competing against all the chefs and people that own the restaurants already. And like I said, we weren't really expected to do much. We're just kind of happy to be there and get the experience and, see what it was all about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. When you showed up, what were your first thoughts seeing that big kitchen arena tent?
I was like, man, it's crazy. I ain't never seen some of the little kitchens set up like that, but it was pretty cool. A lot of people in there doing a lot of different things, and it was cool. It was exciting. I think we were all kind of blown away at what we were getting into.
Sounds to me like the excitement more than the fear. I mean, some people definitely look at it and get this twinge of fear, but the way you're talking, it sounds like you looked at it and got excited.
Yeah, it was cool. Like the teams are right up on top of each other. And, you get to banter back and forth with them while you're cooking, and it's like it was a different experience. Most cook-offs, you get your own 20 by 30 spot. It's just kind of y'all doing your thing, and then you go turn stuff in and wait, but to see other people, they get done with their dish and they're turning it in, you're looking at the clock thinking, all right, well, got to get mine up there. And, it was, like I said, it was pretty cool.
And you know what? You just brought up a good point, too. Normally when people are doing these competitions, the barbecue competition's a perfect example of this. I think the couple that I've done, it's been, one was a 10 by 10 spot that we had, and then one was a 10 by 20 spot, but you didn't really get anything else beyond that. Like you've got power, you've got water, and then you've got your 10 foot by 20 foot plot that's kind of yours, but that's it.
Oh yeah, like the kitchen arena, you got a stove, and you got everything right there at your hands. You don't have to bring much. Like I said, it was all fine equipment. We went out and bought a bunch of pots and pans that they were one of the sponsors is giving out there. I like them so much. So it was definitely different than your average barbecue cook-off that we've been in.
Yeah, for sure. Did you find yourself with everything that you needed? Did you have any moments where you went, oh, I forgot this or that, whether it be ingredients or utensils?
Oh, no. They supplied us with everything. It was first class all the way, so didn't have any issues with that whatsoever.
Nice, man. Nice. Typically I hear people go, yeah, I realized about halfway through that I forgot this thing or I forgot the potato peeler or whatever. But man, it sounds like you guys just kind of glided right through.
Well, I guess we did forget one thing. We needed a little squeeze bottle, which we were going to squirt our sauce out to make it look pretty on the plate. And didn't have it, so we just had to use a spoon and kind of plop it down on there. But It still worked out all right. We had no other options.
I've watched enough Gordon Ramsay to know, like, if you're going to plop it down with a spoon, you can still work with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, add a little tail, make it into a flower or something.
Right.
Yeah, man, the years of competition that you and your buddies have under your belt, that is so valuable. And I really do think it has lended itself so well to this whole thing. And just hearing you say that you walked up and you were just excited and you were happy that they were supplying you with as much as they did. That's a great outlook to have when it comes to the food competition. It's not like people are ungrateful necessarily when I talk to them. That's not what I mean at all. But I do appreciate And it feels refreshing to speak to someone like yourself that's saying, no, they supplied me with way more than I normally have.
Definitely. I mean, these food competitions, it gets rather expensive, and to walk in somewhere like that and have you taken care of already, I mean, that's the whole pressure in itself off your shoulders. I mean, like I said, you just got everything right there at your fingertips, and all you had to really do is bring in your own spices. I mean, that ain't bad at all.
No, not at all. Did you end up using any of the Alabama fish with your dishes?
Yes, well, the Alabama was mahi-mahi, and that was our first one on the cedar plank. That was the seafood they gave us.
Oh, right. Yes, that was the structured dish, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and then remind me again, what did you do for your signature dish?
That was the blackened redfish over fried boudin with the white wine and cream sauce.
Mmm.
And that one was the challenge butter, I believe, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I seen that lady was coming around. She had her reindeer antlers on for the deal, and I told her if we win, I get to wear them. And I guess I forgot about it, but when I was up on stage, she let me wear them. Pretty funny.
Yeah, man.
Everybody's asking me, why you got them antlers on? I said, well, that lady walked by, and I was just messing with her. If I won, I got to wear them. I guess she remembered.
A deal's a deal.
Right.
Yeah. At least you know she's true to her word.
Yeah, right. Better memory than me.
That's right. That's right. So, hey, the mahi-mahi tacos. I have mentioned this a couple of different times to a couple of different people. As a matter of fact, I think I've talked about it on the show. I feel like there should be a taco category. If we're going to have a burger and a sandwich category at the WFC, I feel like there should be a taco category.
Down here, the taco trucks are a big thing, and it's mainly, Mexican tacos, street style, but I mean, there's pretty much got a taco truck on every corner. And all of them have their own flair and flavor on them, and it'd probably be a pretty good idea. Get a whole new segment of cooks in there.
I would sure think so, and not everybody does fish tacos either. So how did you approach the fish taco? Did you have anything in mind, or were you just going, okay, it's fish, and then I'm going to add my normal toppings?
Yeah, I mean, we just did it as a blackened mahi-mahi on the cedar plank, and then did our slaw and our pico on it, turned it in. Down here, almost every seafood restaurant serves some sort of fish taco, no matter what kind of fish it is, either blackened or fried, and for the most part, most of them are pretty good, so kind of had a good idea what we want to do, mix a couple different flavors together that we tried before and make it our own.
So the slaw that you made, did you go with a mayonnaise base, or was it just a vinegar and oil base?
A little bit of both. We did the purple cabbage with the vinegar base, but had to get a little southern, I guess you would say, touch on it with the mayonnaise in it. Get a little creamy. Yeah,
just add that little bit of creaminess for the mouthfeel or whatever you want to call it.
Yes, sir.
And then your pico, you made up just fresh, right? Did you do anything special? Was there tomatillos in it or anything, or was it just kind of your basic tomato and onion?
Basic tomato, onion, and I believe we had put a little bit of mango in it.
Ooh, a mango, yeah. I'm sure that went really well with that blackened mahi.
Oh, it tasted good.
Oh, yeah.
It looked pretty, too. That was the prettiest dish we turned
in. Speaking of, were you able to go home and recreate some of these dishes for your family? Or I guess you were probably practicing them before the event, right?
Yeah, I mean, us three practiced them. Of course, all our family was like, hey, you got to come cook this. So we had so much stuff going on. We ain't even got time to cook for ourselves these days. Yeah. Now we're in the crawfish cook-off season, and we got the final table coming up and work and opening up the food trailer. It's like, geez Louise, what else can we do?
Hey, just add a few more things on, and then you'll just come full circle. Like once you get to the point where you're not sleeping anymore, that's when you'll know that you've got enough.
Yeah, I'm past that point up a long time ago.
All right, man, let's talk a little bit about your second one. I liked what I heard about the black and red fish over boudin with a white wine sauce. Did I hear that right?
Yes, sir.
Let's talk a little bit about boudin. I feel like not everyone knows what boudin is.
Basically, it's just a dirty rice, and there's several different ways you can do it. I mean, you got a lot of people use the pork liver, or you can basically take your pulled pork and smoke it and just break it down. It's just a mixture. Put your parsley and basil in there, and then put it all down in the wrap and smoke it, and you're good to go. We fried ours, so we just broke it out of the casing and battered it up and fried it. And any way you make it, and boudin's excellent.
Nice. Okay. All right. That sounds really good. You broke it out of the casing and fried it up, and so it was just down on the plate, like as a bed, like you said, right?
Yes, yeah. We just made a patty out of it.
That's fascinating.
Just add that hinted flavor to it. Fried boudin is probably about the best you can get. A lot of places down here, everybody does boudin balls, so same premise.
Because you're frying the ball too, and you guys just made it a patty.
Yeah, just presentation. Give it something nice and pretty to set it down on.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And then your final dish, of course, the one that took you from 6th place to 1st place. There has to be something special that you did to that one, right?
We did the black and red fish, and we did the Oscar sauce on it. And I think what set it apart had been the jumbo lump crab meat that we had sauteed and put in place with it. And I mean, it just tasted really good, and it looked good, and it sounded good. So when I told them we were 6 points back, I was like, man, maybe we should have done that as our second turn in. But like I said, it jumped us up quite a bit for the finals. So it worked out pretty good that way. Our highest scores were on the black and red fish for the boudin, but I think the judging was a lot tougher on the final round. So we still got pretty good scores on that one as well, good enough to surpass the others.
And, I don't think a lot of people realize it. And I'll tell you, honestly, for me even, I never think about it, but we did talk to the dessert winner here just a couple of days ago, and he turned in the same thing for his signature dish as the top 10 dish. He saw the score and he said, we did really well with this one. It's going to be a whole new batch of judges, so why change anything? And they made it a second time and submitted it, and that was his winning dish. So I think a lot of people don't realize that you can do that. It's I don't know. I mean, there's something inside of me going, you got to be a little careful doing that. But I mean, if it works, right?
Like I said, you got something good, might as well run with it.
Right. And I think that's how you felt really going into this competition. You just said, we have these things that are really nailed down, and we want to keep them and use them.
Yeah, I mean, we figured I don't know why we did, but we actually practiced 3 different dishes just in case, and good thing we did, because if we'd have made the top 10 and not had a third dish, we'd kind of been scrambling. So
I'm going to tell you from personal experience, that happens a lot. So it's a good thing that you guys did
be
that.
Prepared.
Yeah, you have to be prepared for this thing. It's sort of like hope for the best and prepare for the worst, except for you're not really preparing for the worst. You're preparing for the best. You're hoping for the best. And you're also preparing for if you make it all the way. Did you guys end up getting a condo or a hotel room with a kitchen while you were there? Did you do any cooking outside of the kitchen arena to practice or anything?
We rented I guess it was like a cabin over there at the Gold State Park. And it had a kitchen, but we ended up cooking. I'm trying to remember. I think we just cooked up a bunch of boudin one night, sat back and had a good old time before the final day. We didn't really practice any of our dishes. So, like I said, we were treating that more like a vacation being there because it was so nice, beautiful down there.
Oh, yeah. How did you find that weather versus Galveston?
Damn, they're exactly the same. It's right on the coast as well. I mean, it was one cool evening. Other than that, it was sunshine and breezy. So that's what we get down here every day. A little bit of rain, a whole lot of wind and sunshine.
Nice. That is awesome. So you felt like you were vacation. It was almost a staycation, but it wasn't.
Right. It's a long drive to staycate.
Yeah, I heard that, man. Are you looking forward to going to New Orleans? Have you been before?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I got family right down the road from there, so me and my girlfriend will probably head up that Thursday night, go stay with my mom, and go celebrate a little bit with them. Drive into New Orleans in the morning, and go make sure we have a good time. We've been down to, all of us have been down to New Orleans numerous times. Bachelor parties, weddings, just vacation. Fun place to be.
And now you're going there for a competition. Not just a
Right.
competition, but you're like going there to compete for $100,000 pot.
Yeah, we're going to treat it like a vacation again, too, though. We're going to have fun over there.
I think that's smart. I think that relaxed attitude is going to serve you well. Do you have any thoughts about the format this year? I mean, you're going into it. You don't know what you're cooking. It's not going to be, well, it might be a seafood, but they're not telling anyone what they're cooking. It's just going to be you show up and you cook these unknown dishes, and it's really going to push people to see exactly, how they cook and how well they cook. It sounds to me like you're feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I mean, the way they said the format was before was basically you'd have a seafood dish going against all the other categories, and like the way me and my buddies were talking, it's like how do you ever beat a steak or a barbecue plate?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for us, that's probably about the best eating you can get. But this year, I guess it's different because now everybody's cooking the same dish, no matter what dessert, burger, or whatever it's going to be. There's a level playing field on that aspect, but it could also put us out of our comfort zone. They could say, "Hey, we need you to make some kind of souffle or something, or something we ain't used to making." Well, then what? So I guess we'll wing it. We'll make it work as we go.
You'll have to see if they let you pull your phone out and Google the recipe.
Yeah, I don't know how to do this. I've never even heard of it. Can we do a little research?
Exactly.
And it'll make it for fun.
Oh, it's going to make it a lot of fun. And you strike me as the type of person who is going to thrive in a situation where you don't know exactly what you're expecting, but you're still feeling competitive.
Yeah, we're all about the same way. We're pretty laid back and just kind of take it as it goes and do what you can. And if anything, if we don't know how to cook something, we don't like the way it tastes, and we'll just add a little salt, pepper, and cayenne to it. And maybe that'll work. Even if it's supposed to be something sweet.
And don't forget the hot sauce.
That's how I know how to do it. That's how it's going to be.
That's right, man. I'm secretly hoping that they're going to have you guys make like cupcakes or something, because I really want to see you do a Louisiana hot sauce frosting on it.
Oh, man, that'd be excellent. Just whip it up in there with that whipped icing. Put a little crawfish down inside the batter. That'd be good. call it craw cake.
Oh, and it'd have to be corn, right?
You can do corn. Do a little corn down and do a corn batter mix, almost like a cornbread muffin.
That's instantly what I'm thinking about. If I'm thinking about doing a crawfish anything, I'm thinking that cupcake needs to be corn, half corn, half flour, something to keep it a little bit lighter. But I definitely want that sweet cornbread flavor.
That's right. That'd be interesting. Yeah, we're all looking forward to it. I've been talking about to start meeting up together and going over things, make sure we got all the stuff we need to take with us. It's coming up before you know it, about 3 weeks out now.
What are they having you bring with you?
Now, they said just bring any of your spices that you're planning on using for anything that you could cook. In case it's not there, you have it. Otherwise, you're going to have to make do. So, I mean, some people are saying can we bring our lucky pot or something like that. So, but like I said last time, we didn't bring no pots and pans. They had plenty of stuff for us, so it worked out just fine.
And the main ingredients, well, not just the main ingredients. I mean, pretty much anything, like you said, that's not seasoning or a spice, they're going to provide for you guys. So I would imagine there'll be quite a selection.
Yeah, a lot of these people be flying in, so I'm assuming everything should be provided unless they have to freeze stuff and package it and take it with them on a plane. But like I said, with it being a pretty level playing field of what we're all competing, cooking the same thing, I'd imagine all the sponsors are going to step up and provide everything for this first class and make it nice.
I would sure think so. It's striking me that way. And I guess I just need to ask you now, let's fast forward this thing and say you're there and you take it all the way. You take it home. You're the $100,000 winner. First of all, what are you going to do first? And then when you get home, what do you think you might do with that cash?
First, we'll probably go out to Bourbon Street, hang out and have a good time, make a long night of it like we normally do, and then dread the drive home. We'll split that money 3 ways. I mean, there's 3 of us on the team, and I don't know. I don't really need nothing else. I already got a boat and a camper and a house on the water, so maybe need a fishing pole or something.
I hear that. Would make a little headway towards your brick and mortar restaurant.
Oh yeah, definitely start planning for next year. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my business partner already delving off into that. But yeah, it'd be nice to have a little cushion in the bank. Do something different. It's tough starting up your own business. Drains all your money and time.
That is a fact, man. And especially restaurants. I mean, food service is tough to get into.
It is. It's long hours, and if you want it done right, you pretty much got to do it yourself. And nothing's cheap. You got to make people happy. That's the biggest thing. And if you ain't cooking good food, they ain't gonna be happy. So far, all my customers have been happy. Take pride in that, at least.
Oh yeah, I think your customers are happy because you're happy with how it tastes too.
Yeah, well, I ain't gonna serve it. I'll throw it out. I've told them that before. Because I don't like the way it tastes. I'll throw it out and start over.
Yep, that is a fact.
Might as well.
And you have to be that way when you're a restaurateur or a chef or anything. If you start losing sight of what you like and what your flavors are, because, you know, when you really break it down, I do feel a lot of times like chefs are people who are, I don't know, translating things. You know, they're translating recipes into delicious food. And you can't do that by just simply following the recipe. You can in some cases, but when you really start getting into that upper echelon, you know, the 10% of cooks out there, which, by the way, you're in now just simply because you've made it this far in the World Food Championships. But once you get at that point, you're sort of doing your own interpretation of recipes instead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of times you can look something up online and just to get a premise on what you're looking for and how it should be cooked. And, of course, when you're in the middle of cooking it, you know, obviously look at yourself and go, okay, we need more of this, a little less of that, or next time I ain't going to put this in there, I'll do this different. And you just kind of start making it your own on how you like it to taste. So It's kind of like folding laundry. Some people fold towels one way, to fold the other. So
that's a really good way of looking at it. I like that. You know what? I think that's a good place to end, Beau. I really appreciate you calling and talking to me. And I got to be honest, after talking to you, I'm real excited to see how you do at the final table.
I appreciate that. Hopefully we represent our category well and make everybody proud. That's for sure. To play them.
I have no doubt, my friend. Thank you very much. And we will, we'll see you in Dallas. All right.
Yes, sir. Look forward to it.
And there he goes. Huge thanks and shout back out to Beau Smith. That was a pretty interesting conversation. And honestly, I think it's going to be pretty interesting watching him and his buddies compete at the final table, because they're really proving that you don't have to be a classically trained chef to be able to do this stuff. I mean, the years of experience they have in food competition really has given them an edge over a lot of other people coming into this stuff. You have to admit that the experience is just something that you can't pay enough money for, whether it's working in busy restaurants your whole life or it's working in busy hotels or what have you. Just the experience of doing that is something that someone can really lean on. And the experience of doing competition for so many years really is no different. When we talked to the dessert champ, Greg Berger, here just a couple days ago, and he said the same thing. I mean, he's been doing competition for so long and honing his craft and honing what it is that he does. And it's not something that can be taken lightly. We talk about this every episode whenever we talk about World Food Championship stuff. You don't have to be a world-class or classically trained chef. You can be a home cook. If you're a good home cook and you know what you're doing, then you really do have a good shot at winning this whole thing, because it's not about all of your chefy tricks. It's not about the methodology that you follow. It's about how good is the food? How good is the end result? Is it what you said it was? Does it look good? Does it taste good? That really is it. And if you do something right and it covers all those bases, there's really no reason why you can't take home the big prize. And once again, that prize is a $100,000 pot at the World Food Championships final table, May 17th through 19th in New Orleans. So here's the whole breakdown, speaking of New Orleans. So round one is going to be all 10 contestants taking on a classic Cajun dish. We don't know what that's going to be. After that round, it's going to narrow down to the top 5. Round 2 will be trying to recreate a dish from one of the local most popular restaurants in New Orleans. There's loads more that I'm leaving out, but not to worry. You can find all of that information over at worldfoodchampionships.com. Follow them on Twitter, follow them on Facebook. There's new information coming out constantly. They've got celebrity guest chefs that are showing up to help judge, and it is going to be just an incredible time. So I really do encourage you to go and check that out. And of course, while you're out there, check us out over at pardonmyfork.com. We got that new website up and going, so make sure to swing by there. Leave us a comment. We always love hearing from you guys. We always love seeing them, and we do read each and every one. So thank you guys for that. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. For Beau, this is Andy, and we will see you next time.